Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to be adding a lighthouse to this corner of the Lego room, the Harbour, and the only question really is, well, which one should we add? Right here. Yes, this corner was always designated as the area where I'd have a lighthouse, right up against this edge of the room, kind of acting as a bookend to all of the builds throughout my city. And I guess if I had a much bigger Lego room, then maybe I'd space it slightly away from all of these docks and ships and so on. But this is as far away as I can get, given that it is right next to the door to the Lego room where I come in, of course. So yeah, that is definitely the site where it's going to go. But given that I do actually have two lighthouses and space for only one, which will win? So there's only one way to find out, and that is a lighthouse fight! Now, of course, in the modern era, lighthouses are much less necessary than they used to be. Back in the day, they were used as beacons by coastal towns who were competing against each other to attract sailors for a good night out in their pubs. I think that's right. And something about avoiding rocks as well, I think. Anyway, for our lighthouse fight today, we have two wonderful Lego sets, and the first one is defending its title as the current intended lighthouse for Brick Nottingham. It is in the red corner. The set 75903, the Haunted Lighthouse from 2015, which is a Scooby-Doo set that I got off eBay, just this bit without the boat or the minifigures, made it a lot cheaper. And yeah, 437 pieces, and weighing in at 402 grams, and that is, just for reference, about the same as a Texas pocket gopher. A very timid looking creature, I think you'll agree. And the challenging set in the blue corner is the wonderful, huge and new 21335 motorised lighthouse from 2022. Wow, I'm not sure if this heavyweight is going to make it a very fair fight, given that this bad boy weighs in, oh golly, at, wow, just over 2 kilos. So that makes it, well, less than a house cat, but pretty much up there with a mongoose, a very notoriously vicious animal that can defeat things much bigger than itself, including nasty snakes. So yeah, I'm not sure this is going to be a very fight at all. But, well, let's not prejudge it. And here we go. One versus the other. Who fight? Well, in all seriousness, I do very much like this set, actually. I'm kind of a bit annoyed that I didn't already put it in Brick Nottingham and now we're replacing one with the other, because it's got a lot of interesting features. We've got some really good rocks around the bottom, including this brick-built skull with its gold tooth and its eyes sort of angled in this way. Then, of course, the keep out sign and the striped tower, which I do very much like in this dark red and white, going up to the very top, where I've perched a seagull, but we've got the glass area here and the handrail like you'd expect on something like this. Steps going inside, all the rest of it. And there's loads of play features in this as well. We've got this sort of hidden area here under some planks where we can find a clue about the secrets of the haunted lighthouse. We've also got all these different doors, including this one where I've put, oh my lord, yeah, the Series 14 Banshee, just to make sure it is actually haunted. We've also got the play feature here, where we can turn this at the back and open the cave to reveal a treasure chest, as you might expect, and I really like that. And then if that wasn't enough, we can also hinge this very top area, where we've got yet another secret. So I think it's good fun, but it's got lots of interesting sort of texture and shape to it as well, even some weeds growing off the side and so on. It's got a kind of Goonies vibe, I suppose, that I really dig quite a lot, especially with these stickers on and so on, making it look very run down. I think if it does have any negative points, it's probably the fact that it's open-backed. But in that position in the Lego room, would it really be a problem? I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, yeah, pretty good. But the height arguably is what lets it down most of all because, well, this would barely see over our bridges in the harbour bay, and also it wouldn't see very far out to sea or project that light for a beacon for sailors. Also, it's a little dusty having been in storage. Apologies for that. So, yeah, this lighthouse with the current title may not be keeping it for very long against this wonderfully large new contender. So, let's move on to that one. Well, this new motorised lighthouse set 21335 wasn't necessarily one that I was dead set on getting. We're going to have to review it in sections just because of its huge height, of course. But I think, like a lot of recent sets that I've bought directly from Lego, I've been more impressed in real life with how it looks than I did from the initial marketing pictures, so maybe they need to do a little better there. I mean, it all starts with this wonderfully lovely little white rowboat with its passenger inside, a cat, and the name Leda on the back, which I like very much. Very simple, but it's just, well, beautiful. I'm looking forward to putting that in the bay. It does have a small cat on board, which I think is a little dangerous because it reminds me of that story. I think it was New Zealand, was it? Where there was a lighthouse keeper on a very remote island, and he had a cat, and one day it brought home a ground nesting parrot, and it kept bringing one back every day, and then they realised that it was a unique species to that island, and one single individual cat had actually made an entire species extinct from the whole planet. So that's not a very good way to go about things, is it? Anyway, I'm sure that won't happen in Brick Nottingham. I'm not even certain that isn't folklore, but anyway, it's a good start with that little boat there. Then we've got some really interesting rocks with these angled steps going into them, and I think they are a really good feature. There's kind of cracks where the geometry doesn't work here and here, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. They look very natural in the fact that they're at different angles rather than just a normal sort of 45 and 90 degrees. So I like them a great deal. We've got all these nice splash pieces all around the bottom of them as well. And it makes me think that maybe I should be putting not tiles over all of my water in my city because, well, it'd just be too much of an undertaking, I think. And, well, it makes it kind of look a bit too flat and glass-like, if you ask me. But maybe I should be using them like they used here around the bottom to kind of act as splashes against, well, bridge supports and everything in the beach and everything in my marina and so on. It might look really good. So you have to let me know what you think of that idea, though it's still quite an undertaking. Now, the original set does come with a dark blue base plate, which I haven't used because, well, the rest of my sea and ocean and all the rest of the things I've been mentioning is in this normal blue. So I stole one of the base plates from right underneath my bridge, which you might have noticed earlier was missing, just to build this on. So I'll be keeping that dark blue one for something else distinct from my sea areas. And, well, now I need another one of these to patch up the hole that I've created. And the interest goes all the way around as well. We've got a lovely cave in here, and this is the one that hides the switch. You can probably hear the motor going just. Yeah. So that's very concealed. That's very much like the one that I concealed actually when I was doing my Vespa wind turbine with one hidden in the rock so it was easy to reach, with a bat in here and some treasure and so on. And the rocks continue around the back where we've got the hidden powered up battery box, which I was thinking of changing to power functions, and then I realised there was absolutely no point because it wasn't using Bluetooth or anything, so why bother? One part of it was because this is quite high, this rock sort of section, and that looked quite bad in the photos, I thought, which is one of the reasons why I was considering changing it to power functions and so on to make it a bit shorter. But that's because all the photos that are on Lego's website are taken kind of from the eye view, like you're crouching down to peer at this from minifigure level. And I think that when it actually comes to having it in real life, you're kind of looking down on it, kind of like we are now. And that great big height kind of gets reduced by that depth perception. So I don't think it's anywhere near as bad. Anyway, we've got the continuing rock formation around the outside with an anchor and what looks like a seagull nest and lots of bird poop. So yeah, I think it's a really good start. Then we've got this cabin for our lighthouse keeper to live in, with the really nice Aurora Point sign and a light on the outside. And this has just got some nice photographs inside, a fish on the wall, lots of furniture like a bed, cooking, and all the rest of it. And that's where one of the lights on the inside of this whole setup that's powered, because it's not just the motor that powers the turning of the light on the top, but there's also a bulb in there, obviously, for it to be a lighthouse. And the second bulb comes into this house quite cleverly with an exposed wire, but it's almost done like it's supposed to be like that, like it's wired up to the same generator on the inside. So I think they've made a feature of that wire rather than hiding it. The only criticism of the one on the inside that's lighting a log fire or a stove in there, let's see if we can turn that on and show you that. Try and find this switch blindly. There we go. So you can see that just coming on in there. The only problem with that is there's quite a lot of light leakage when you've got the lid on, and this in darkness, it all kind of shines through all of these gaps and even through the panel on the back. But yeah, it does light up the windows too, so it's quite a good feature. And there's a really nice dark green door there, and entry into the base of the tower. So given that lifts off really well and is at another jaunty angle, which I really like to make it look even more natural, I'm a big fan of it. Then we've got the tower itself, which is, well, pretty plain in some respects, but also very interesting because you'll see it just gets narrower, narrower and narrower each section it goes up. And for the bottom sections, you can lift off there to see the corridor in and the bottom of this staircase and a fire axe and so on. The next section off here, more ladders going in there, not much detail, but you know, windows on the other side and on these removable sections. And then from that point onwards, I actually deviated from the original instructions because I wanted the remaining removable panels to be on the front side because, well, it will probably be at this orientation in the Lego room with the steps at the very front. So I'm going to reposition the camera and we can go up to the higher levels. But yeah, you can see it's pretty good so far. I think the only thing that it's missing from the Scooby-Doo version is that sort of very famous red and white sort of stripe motif. But then we do have the red on this roof. So yeah, it isn't without colour. I just hope it doesn't blend into the wall of my Lego room, he says, knocking off the chimney pot. Now, the main feature of the top section is, of course, the beacon going round and round to attract those sailors. And unless you've got the lights off, as I have now with my filming lights, it really isn't very bright. But that's not very surprising, really, when you think that it is only using one of two of the powered up lights that usually would just be the headlights of a train or something. So given that that's kind of like one headlight's worth of light, it's really not surprising that it's not crazy bright. The other thing being powered, of course, is the motor, turning it around. And yeah, it is fairly noisy. So yeah, your idea is that you'd have a great big round light being projected on the walls of your Lego room or display. And well, it kind of does that a tiny bit. We'll see that when we install it. But, you know, it's just not as much as you might have thought or hoped. Now, the other thing about this set is you might think it's quite boring to build, just being repetitive tower, but it really isn't. It's really quite fascinating, actually. I did enjoy the build very much, more than I usually do a Lego set. The bottom base with all of the rocks is a bit fiddly because there's so many different sort of bits and angles and they're all similar pieces, but it really was quite good. And one of the bits that I was very interested about, having done all of my fairground rides, was how they were sort of locating the motor at the bottom, transferring the power up and all the rest of it, and even getting the light horizontal. The last bit was a bit of a cheat, if you ask me. You know, whenever Lego gets stuck, they have the added ability to just be able to create a brand new piece, which I never have the ability to do. So essentially, all they've got is the light shining up vertically from the tower, and then the motor powering an angled reflective lens that actually just sort of pivots around on its spot and changes the angle from vertical to horizontal. So yeah, it's clever, but you know, I couldn't have made this with normal pieces, let's put it that way. So the next thing that's really good about this, of course, is that it's 360 degree. I can turn this around or peer at this from an odd angle in my Lego room and we won't see into the back of this thing. And we've got a 360 handrail here and this lovely garage door type glass pieces are making a 360 view for that light to go around. There's no clear way into this. I suppose it's supposed to be in real life through a little doorway in here into the rest of the tower, but I think we have to forgive them that. But as I said before, I have actually moved the removable sections for the top two levels onto the front, so we've got better access, and there's a really fun sort of family portrait in one, and some tools for keeping the thing maintained in the other, and that width does decrease yet further when you go up. So yeah, it's a really interesting look, and I love the fact that they haven't skimped on scale, and that is apparent though in the price, which is probably the other real negative about this set. £260. Now that does include all the powered up stuff in the battery box, the lights and the motor, but you know, even so, that is crazy, and I don't think I would have bought it if I didn't have a Lego channel helping me out with the cost of these things, but now I have, I am very happy with it. So yeah, it's a difficult one for everyone to decide. It is a very nice set that you'll probably regret not getting, kind of like the fishing shack. I think anyone who didn't buy that at the time probably regrets it now. But yeah, it is quite a lot of money for what is a small hut down here and a tower up here. So let's see who has won our fight. Well, I guess at the end of the day, it wasn't ever going to be a very fair fight. So I think we've got a KO for our Scooby-Doo Lighthouse set. I think we'll have to park that. I don't know if I want to take it apart, but I've got nowhere else to put it now. So ideas for that. Maybe I can convert it into a haunted lighthouse at my fairground or something like that. Who knows? But I didn't want to leave this completely unaltered because, as you know, I always like to change things in my Lego city. So I thought I'd add even more details to this very, very detailed set. Now, one was from a sticker sheet that I had from the Hidden Side Lighthouse, which might be one of the ones you expected me to be showing you at the beginning, 70431, the Lighthouse of Darkness. And that's this sticker for Grimsmouth Cove. And I thought it might be good to put this either up here or even higher up on the lighthouse, because we could remove some of these white curved slopes. That could work rather well. But then again, it does already say Aurora Point here, so that's probably the name of the rock. So maybe I really need to, instead of doing that, take the white bit off and put it down here to represent the name of this little cove here with its beach, grotto, and our little box of treasure. Ooh, loads of gems. Lovely. So yeah, that's what I think I'll do. I'll just put that on there, and it adds even more detail in its position there. The other thing I wanted to do was, because there's a little bat in here and you really have to bend down to see it, but I thought I could add to that. So I went into my bag of animals and saw how many bats I have, and it's quite a few because of all the Halloweeny things that have come out over the years. Yeah, and I've got that many bats. So what I've done is attached them to a tree limb piece, just so they're all kind of crammed in together and very closely packed. And I thought I would mount this to the underside of that cave, making it absolutely crammed full of batness. But then I realised, well, A, it probably won't fit, and B, you're never going to see it, you know, even if you really crane your neck. So I think I'll save that idea for somewhere else. I thought about having them all coming out kind of as a massive swarm flying in the air, kind of like this, but you know, they really just don't look like they're flying. They look like they're hanging with this sort of wing position. Tell me what you think of that, but I think kind of forcing them to be positioned like this wouldn't be particularly good. So yeah, that was kind of a good idea, but probably not one that I'm going to actually execute. Some things for a bit more detail though. One is this sign. Because we've got sharks in the area scaring a shipwrecked mariner, hence that helicopter that I showed you earlier coming to the rescue, I thought I would include this warning shark sign, which is the printed version. It only came in one set, 6736 Beach Lookout from 2002. Yeah, so I really like that. So I can put that probably down here right on the very edge. I think that looks good. Yeah, warning. Though it probably should be facing in. I don't know. Anyway, that's good enough. Then another thing I wanted to do was add some coin-operated binoculars, because I figure some tourists might come out here and want to look back at Brick Nottingham through some binoculars that they can put a coin into to operate. And ages ago I found this design on the internet, so I'd love to credit whoever came up with it, but I can't because I don't know who you are. But kudos to you for inventing these binoculars. They're kind of hinged as they are, and these are the ones that you see on top of tall buildings, so you can look at the rest of the cityscape or in places like this. So it's a bit sort of wobbly, as you can see, but it's very good fun, and I thought that could just go maybe up here on the top, and people could pay a small amount to be able to look back at Brick Nottingham through the lenses on there. So those are my changes for this lovely lighthouse. Now that all that remains really is to put it back into Brick Nottingham, and also to replace the base place that I stole with this brand new one from Lego. And I'm happy to say this is the first thing I've ever had that's actually in a paper wrapper. So they actually are doing away with some plastic. I think this is paper. Yeah, there you go. It can tear. So it's good to see that they're finally getting there, because I've heard that news item several times and I've still never received any of my pieces not in plastic bags. So anyway, right, let's get it installed. Well, here it is in position, and it's looking pretty good if you ask me. It fits very well with this angle pointing into the room and the windows pointing off to one side, and that 360 kind of turret at the top. And it's been a bit of a squeeze, I must say. I've moved this fishing vessel along here. This crane goes up to about there naturally anyway, so it doesn't clash, so that's all right. The door to the Lego room I thought would be a major problem, and that it comes out to there. But I've got a new door stop down at floor level, basically, to stop it going any further and smashing into the side of this. But yeah, it's looking pretty grand, I think. Now I've got a bit of space here for a scene, I think, but you'll have to tell me what you think I should put there. Let's go and look at it from further afield. Oh, well, that does look good. I think I was right with my description earlier of having a bookend to that whole section. It kind of terminates the Lego city with something eventful rather than it just sort of petering out as it did before. And yeah, that view from that angle is brilliant, isn't it? With a Aurora Point on full view. Yes, I like that. Now, when I was building this, I was considering mirroring it because, well, I mirrored the fishing store, so it's completely reversed, just like you're looking at it in a mirror, if that made it fit better in my city. Because, like, for example, here I wanted the steps to go down onto the beach, so it wouldn't really work if it was the other way around. But the more I thought about it from the instructions, I saved myself a massive job, because I think this is the best angle from the Lego room. Maybe it would have been better to have the windows on this near vertical surface, but then again, you know, that would have been quite tricky to do because it would have actually been changing the instructions rather than just mirroring them. And I very much like the fact that we've got Grimsmouth Cove there visible from here, and we can even see the treasure chest and, well, maybe that bat if we were very careful. So, wow, that area is getting crazy busy now, especially with the helicopter in the way. Maybe I'll reposition that so it's slightly easier to see past and around. And I haven't even put all my ships into the harbour yet. We've still got the one I did with the agents, the sort of missile boat yet to go in. And, well, I've got loads of hulls to be playing with as well. So, yeah, that's going to get even more busy. But, yeah, it's really nice to have another tall thing in there. We've got the blimp in the corner with the fort, then the crane, and then even taller than that, the wonderful lighthouse, leading your eye up to the two aircraft with Lego DB Cooper leaping out with all his bags of money on the parachute. Fantastic. Yeah, I do like that, and it's definitely a worthy winner over the Scooby-Doo set. So I think the only thing I really need to show you now to finish this sort of review / placement is show you the light feature going around my Lego room. And here is the play feature on, with the main lights in the Lego room off. And first of all, you can see the cabin there with its glowing windows and that light leakage at the side of the door, and even slightly worse around. You can see the side there where that panel is. Not that great. But as for the main light, it is projecting against the wall there, which looks pretty good actually. It gets a lot fainter the further away it goes, of course, showing up there, but then pretty much vanishing to nothing. I do think the fact that it's located next to this wall is actually producing that effect there probably makes it look more effective than it really is in real life. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. Yeah, at least it works. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, I think we'll be doing a brick haul. So until then, see you! Yeah, it is quite effective against the walls. Not as bright as I'd hoped.